Fight Commentary Breakdowns. And today we have a Muay Thai versus Wing Chun fight.
Oh, dang.
And I'm going to tell you guys, none of them are masters. I've never implied any of these fights, with the exception of the original one with the MMA guy versus the Wing Chun, where the Wing Chun people claim to be masters. But most of these fights, they're probably amateurs to people who just started training. Mm-hmm. And so again, the Wing Chun guy is definitely not a master. I don't think he's a master. You're this Muay Thai guy.
This is just a disclaimer so you don't get offended.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't get offended. If you get offended anyways, you know, you can bite off my penis. I don't care.
That's
that was a forced escalation.
I wasn't expecting it at all.
Boom!
Oh, Muay Thai body kick.
Ouch! Another one, and he ate a punch too. The Wing Chun guy ate a punch.
Hey!
Oh!
Hey!
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Oh wow, that was so fast.
That was so fast.
And that's why Muay Thai is effective.
Yeah.
He's
brutal.
ready to go. He's like, let's do it again. Let's go. Now that I got him stunned, he's having a great time.
Exactly, because Wing Chun, they usually don't spar at that level.
Oh, for sure.
You know, they sometimes even box each other, like they hit each other in the face and stuff, but it's not at full force like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what's happening right. Is he taking his pulse? Is he saying like, I'm gonna try and check your pulse and see if you just got flash knocked out because you did? Oh my gosh. I can't. This guy's concussed.
Ouch!
This guy is concussed.
He was trying to defend the kicks better, a little bit.
That's just his
chin.
Well, at least
man.
he checked the kick.
Yeah.
Oh, his chin is up.
Yeah.
He's getting knocked out.
He's getting knocked.
This is over.
Yep.
They got to call this fight. They gotta call this.
I think that's it. Let's check. Yeah, that's it.
That's really irresponsible
of the referee, right?
Well, it's just irresponsible of whoever's in charge of this dojo.
Yeah.
Who's ever in charge of this gym.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be pairing up somebody full contact spar with somebody who clearly has had at least a month or two of training, which makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
With somebody who doesn't have any.
Exactly. Or at least not any sparring training. The Wing Chun guy, he's standing there like he's sparring a Wing Chun person.
Yeah.
But he doesn't understand that he's going to get punched and kicked in the face if he has his hands out there with the palms like that.
This isn't how somebody learns.
Yeah.
This is how somebody gets brain damage.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You learn by failing in a controlled environment.
It's very true.
So you train the technique, you hit pads, you practice, you practice slipping punches, parrying. These are all things that you practice for weeks before you and you pair up against people who are at your level.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And this one we saw the Wing Chun guy check a few kicks. Oh, he didn't check that one. That one ate him. But he checked that one. And then he ate that punch. And the fact that there's a punching bag right there, it's like...
Yeah. I mean, this Muay Thai guy is he's not even concerned about the telegraph. He winds up and he's just throwing full force.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think they're the same weight class, right? Looks like it.
I think the guy in the Muay Thai shorts has about 2 inches on him.
Oh, I see. Makes sense. We don't know how big this guy is because of his shirt. It's covering up any...
These fights are so crazy.
I know.
It's literally like somebody just standing there to get kicked.
Yeah.
And punched.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't understand the posture of the Wing Chun. I don't understand why your chin is so open. It's so readily available. But I've never practiced Wing Chun, so I don't know if that's proper technique or if that's...
So, from what I understand of the reason why Wing Chun stand like this, maybe we can watch this and see. It's because in southern China, they were on these boats in the rivers. And so the river, you would have to, if you wanted to fight upright on a river, you would have to stand in that way to keep your balance. I believe that's why the Wing Chun has the stance. But I can't find any proof on YouTube.
Crazy origin story.
Yeah, Wing Chun fight on boats. Maybe we can find an image, but apparently fighting on not those. I'm thinking small boats like ancient China. along the rivers, the difference between northern China and southern China is that southern China is very water rich, whereas northern China is very water poor. That's why Beijing is such a bad capital. And the reason Beijing became a capital was because the Mongols, when they took over China, they wanted a capital in Beijing that was closer to Mongolia. But once the Mongols got overthrown by the Ming dynasty, the Ming said, no, let's just keep our capital here. I mean, Kublai Khan and all his descendants built a pretty cool capital here, but they forgot that, look, this place is not a feasible capital. And then Beijing just stayed, I mean, during World War II, so before the communists took over, Nanjing, so much more south, was the capital of China. But eventually when the communists took over, they made Beijing the capital again. So let me actually show a map of China. This might sort of give some pictures to what I'm trying to say. So we're gonna open up Google Maps.
I wonder if you can incorporate incorporate it into like the clinch game. You know what I mean? Because clearly you have to close your distance before you can incorporate the stance. The stance is a very boxy stance. You know what I mean? Like it's straight up and down. That guy had like absolutely no balance whatsoever.
Nope, definitely not. And I mean, they call it trapping range, right? Maybe you could do some Wing Chun when you're doing the clinch. So maybe some of that Wing Chun could help you in the clinch.
Maybe.
But so this is Beijing right here. Do you see how close it is to Mongolia? So this is Inner Mongolia. This is where traditionally where all the Mongolians were.
Yeah.
So it made sense for Kublai Khan to make, after he finally conquered China, made sense for him to put the capital here. Because, if needed, he goes back to Mongolia. All the different Mongolian kingdoms then get together and vote the next Khan. But so the Ming took over, and for some reason they kept the capital here. And I think part of it was you kicked out the Mongols, so they're probably going to continue attacking. So you need a capital that's close to the border, so it's like the command center. So, but then the Qing dynasty came from over like this area, and then they kept the capital at Beijing too. So I'm trying to find right now is Nanjing. So Nanjing's down here.
I'm just curious as to how does Wing Chun survive? Is what I'm wondering. Is it because they had an advancement in weaponry that they don't need to use it anymore? How come it doesn't become obsolete? Is what I'm wondering.
I don't know. I honestly don't know why.
Because if you have two clans going up against one another and one's using it and the other one's not, and then they get obliterated, they go, okay, we need to adapt or die. But somehow it remained after all these years. So I'm just wondering if it was because, it just never was tested or...
True. Maybe it was just because it was never tested. Because, Wing Chun originated, I believe, in this area. So there's Cantonese Wing Chun, Guangdong Wing Chun, which apparently is actually the most powerful style. Some Num, as they call it, that's the style that descended from Cantonese Wing Chun. And then there's Ip Man Wing Chun, which Ip Man escaped, I believe, Japanese occupation, and then he went to Hong Kong. So it's like Wing Chun, I don't know if the origin was around here, but Wing Chun has the most practitioners around here.
Interesting.
And yeah, I don't really understand, especially because Hong Kong was under British rule, right? So you would have expected that boxers, exactly, like British boxers, Irish boxers would have challenged these Wing Chun guys and showed them.
And if there are people coming in from Japan, you'd think, jiu-jitsu would or judo would find its way into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Japanese, they took over this area during World War II. And in the Ip Man movies, Ip Man took on a Japanese fighter and won. But I wonder if a competition like that actually occurred.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't understand. And maybe it was just because of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee based his JKD on Wing Chun. So maybe if Wing Chun was even obsolete, the Wing Chun descendants could be like, well, look at Bruce Lee, man. We taught him. So just some thoughts.
Yeah, but he incorporated so much more.
Exactly. Boxing, fencing, judo, etc. And he made JKD.
I mean, he was even into grappling too.
Yeah. And I'm sure if he didn't die, he would have trained extensively with the Gracies. And he would have put JKD, he would have brought JKD to the next level.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
It would have been awesome to see him doing some serious Born Identity type stuff.
Agreed. There's also debate about whether he actually was a good fighter, like how many of his fights were actually documented and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't even care if he's a good fighter or not. All I care about is that, he inspired a ton of people.
Yeah, I do know there is some footage I found online. It's like Bruce Lee Hong Kong fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a street performer. This is the one. This is Bruce Lee Hong Kong rooftop fighting. So,
according to Chuck Norris, he was like severely OCD.
Makes sense.
And I feel like there's so many fighters that are just really phenomenal because of that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
So here it is. Can't really see. I assume this guy's Bruce Lee, just much more nimble. Like, I think that's Bruce Lee. But in a way, it kind of, that's definitely Bruce Lee.
How do you know that this is Bruce Lee?
Honestly, that's a good question. I've seen this footage before. It says that's Bruce Lee home movies.
Okay.
I assume maybe it got released by his family or something. But, ooh, that's not good terrain to be fighting. Yeah, that's definitely Bruce Lee, the way he moves. Very interesting that he doesn't have his hand up in guard. Oh, we don't see much. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We really don't see much. And looking at this, if we can see any. And then the only other one I know that exists of him fighting is him fighting in Osanto.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like JKD versus JKD, so that's not a real good test of whether his stuff was actually applicable to a regular fight and not just a fight within his style.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we don't see that much. But that's the best I got, guys. Sorry. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Wing Chun. I honestly think. Remember there's footage of Anderson Silva even training Wing Chun.
Yeah, no,
So,
I think that there's certainly some application for it in like as you're moving into the clinch. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of like the clinch game is so underutilized right now in the UFC. There's stuff you can pull so many amazing submissions from the clinch that they haven't even like brought up yet. Like there was a while there where like like UFC goes through phases. MMA goes through phases where all of a sudden like an arm triangle will become like the submission of the year. You know what I mean? And then but there are certain things that are in the clinch game that just haven't even been brought up yet.
I agree. So this is Anderson Silva doing Wing Chun. You see, he's obviously done some Wing Chun.
Yeah.
So
it's also pretty easy to fake.
Ah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, I do think there are some cool things in Wing Chun that can be used even in the UFC.
Yeah.
But definitely just a very little part of your whole game, your whole mixed martial art game.
Even if just from the clinch, if you're slipping up a palm strike to the chin, while keeping your arms in tight, you certainly don't want your arms out a lot because you don't want to have somebody grab a hold of it and try an flying armbar.
Exactly.
But you watch some of these top level jiu-jitsu practitioners that are just throwing, like if you watch ADCC, people throwing arm bars from every angle, man. I saw last year there was just this gnarliest arm bar. Guy was sitting down and guy jumped on a seated opponent and pulled an arm bar, a flying arm bar while he was. I've never seen that before ever, but like there are certain quick submissions that you're going to see probably in the next 4 years in the UFC that people haven't even imagined yet.
Wow. Agreed. And adding to that, there's a lot of very old judo knowledge that kind of stayed in Japan, and some of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys kind of maybe rediscovered it, but there's still a lot of old judo manuscripts. A lot of those old moves haven't even been really implemented yet into the UFC.
Do a quick search for ADCC flying armbar. This was, I think it was 2017. Yeah, this was just amazing. It was a seated. Yeah, it is.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch this. This is incredible. Watch him. He's just not even ready for it. He's not. This is why you keep your arms in.
Whoa!
Just goes right for it. Bam.
Wow.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a clinch game where he set him up. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine this happening in the UFC?
Oh
this
my
level,
God.
where it's if you happen to have your arm extended just a little bit and you're that close to somebody, you get your arm ripped off.
Wow.
You know? So that's why I'm saying, like, the UFC has a lot to do in terms of its evolution.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
This guy just goes for the flying armbar while his opponent is seated. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
It just reminds me of this one. Have you seen this? This guy claims that... so, you know, he claims correctly that the guard came from Chinese Kung Fu with Baby Monkey. But then he starts demonstrating his... You know, there's a difference between history and practice, and he demonstrates his version of how he would get rid of he would counter a person doing a single leg takedown.
Dude, honestly, there's actually some actual good stuff in there. Honestly, like, I've actually pulled this before, and this is not my go-to. What my go-to is I go to a crucifix immediately. I cross face and I go to a crucifix. But I tell people all the time, don't go for single legs, because you're leaving yourself open for an armbar or a crucifix immediately. I know it looks silly, but if people aren't ready for that, it works.
I see.
It really does.
I see. So it's just part of it was just the way he did it. You can obviously tell, like, he did it very slow. It was a little clumsy, but what you're saying, if, you know, someone who's really trained in BJJ could potentially pull this off. It's just really funny how slow he does it.
Yeah, he needs to have his foot on the ground, obviously. When he falls on his back here, his right foot needs to be on the ground to lock it in tight. But it, you know, overall, you know, basically he's not giving up the takedown. He's not letting himself be taken down. He turns it into his advantage.
We potentially could try this move sometime. Test it out.
Yeah.
Potentially, I'll try
My
that.
favorite is as soon as somebody goes for a single leg, I throw a crossface in there, meaning I put my arm directly under their neck, essentially, and I gable grip behind their chin, and they're almost immediately their single leg breaks because when you torque somebody's neck, they give up everything. And so then what you do is you figure four their arm in your legs, and you have one of their arms trapped, and you have a choke in. So you can either continue to go and grab wrist control on the other arm, or you can just finish with the choke. But either way, you've got a great crucifix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Great discussion, by the way. This was Rob and
Fight Commentary
Breakdowns. That's
Hey.
right.